Computer, begin entry. Evolutionary Files Bestiary 1. Codename Werewolf. For centuries, tales have spoken of beasts that wear a man's skin by day and shed it under the full moon. Men able to transform into vicious wolf-like creatures of speed and strength, werewolves. But what is interesting is how widespread these legends are. The oldest story of werewolves is from ancient Greece, in the myth of Lycaon, a king of Arcadia who tested Zeus's divinity by serving him human flesh. For his transgression, he was turned into the first werewolf. But many other legends exist, like the Feilat in Irish and Celtic mythology, or the Skinwalker of Navajo tradition, and many more. But beyond the myths, is there a biological precedent to any of these stories? The bite. First, we must see how they transform. In some stories, people are just born as werewolves, inheriting lycanthropy from at least one of their parents. But in most modern depictions, lycanthropy is spread by bite or by exposure to the blood of a werewolf. This suggests that lycanthropy is not a curse at all, but a disease, a pathogen of some kind that adds genetic material to the victim. This changes their DNA and turns them into a werewolf. There are many pathogens known to do things like this. For example, retroviruses. Put simply, retroviruses are a type of virus that is able to add its genetic material to that of its host. This permanently changes the DNA of the host. Once the host is infected by the retrovirus, it uses the host's cells to make more of itself and then proceeds to infect more cells in the body. Lycanthropy may be a disease spread by a retrovirus, one that adds wolf DNA to the host. Once a host is infected, it spreads throughout the body, including the blood and saliva. The wolf DNA slowly changes the host. Increased hair, thickened nails, and sharper teeth soon follow. The human then slowly turns into a werewolf, perhaps several weeks after the infection. This would coincide with legends stating that the werewolf transforms under the light of the first full moon, 1 month after being bitten. Then, like rabies, it hijacks the nervous system, overriding fear with bloodlust. But where rabies destroys, lycanthropy reprograms. It manipulates the host into an aggressive biting frenzy. Once a victim is found and bitten, the pathogen then spreads to its next victim through the saliva of the werewolf, and the life cycle starts again. There is a weak point to this hypothesis. Viruses are small. They can only hold a small amount of genetic material, and the amount of DNA needed to make these changes would be very high. Perhaps it is not one virus, but many mixed in one transforming cocktail, each virus carrying a different genetic sequence. This would explain the diversity of accounts of werewolves. Different werewolf lineages may arise from different mixes of these viruses. Or perhaps the virus activates dormant ancestral genes already present in human DNA, relics of our evolutionary past. After all, humans and wolves are both vertebrate mammals. We share many genes in common. It's just that the genes are slightly different, perhaps inactive in our bodies, but active in that of a wolf. A genetic echo of the beast waiting to be awakened. Or perhaps it is another type of pathogen altogether. But what are the origins of such disease? It is possible that some pathogen in ancient times infected wolves. Over generations, it added pieces of wolf genetic material into itself until one day the disease passed on into a human, beginning the plight of lycanthropy and creating the first werewolf. The Beast. Legends describe werewolves as a perfect mix of man and wolf, possessing the stature and intelligence of a human, but the endurance, strength, and keen senses of a wolf. So we must turn to the wolf to analyze the traits of a werewolf. Wolves have over 200 million sense cells, about 40 times more than a human's. Although their eyesight isn't much better than our own during the day, they excel at night, possessing a tympanum lucidum in their eyes. This membrane acts like a mirror, reflecting light back through the retina and enhancing their ability to see in low light conditions. It also gives them the eerie glow of their eyes in the shadows of darkness. Their hearing outclasses ours by magnitudes. Wolves can hear roughly 6 miles in forests and up to 10 miles in open terrain. Assuming lycanthropy gives them all the abilities of a wolf, werewolves would be great predators, especially at night. They could sense their victims from miles away using their superior sense of smell and hearing. There would be no hiding from them. The infected develop long, large arms. This gives them greater strength, and their sharp claws make a paw strike from a werewolf deadly. Their feet become stockier and digigrade, meaning they walk on their toes. This build allows werewolves to switch between moving on all fours for short bursts of speed and fighting on 2 feet. Their sharp claws and teeth would make them deadly in close quarters. Strong jaws make them capable of tearing someone apart easily. Werewolf endurance would also be impressive. It's difficult to say how fast they are. Humans can run up to 28 miles per hour or 45 kilometers per hour in a sprint. For wolves, it's closer to 40 miles per hour or 60 kilometers per hour. This is partly due to differences in body structure. Wolves operate on 4 limbs, allowing them to sprint more effectively, but humans only run on 2. But werewolves are a combination of both, creating something new. It is impossible to know how fast they could be, but they are said to have superhuman speed. This brings us to strength. They are said to be extremely strong, able to tear apart and toss people around like rag dolls. To get this kind of strength, werewolves must have large, fast-twitching muscles. Muscles come in 2 broad categories: slow twitch or type 1 muscle fibers and fast twitch or type 2 muscle fibers. The slow twitch muscles don't have much power but are more energy efficient and can work for much longer. This makes them better for endurance. Fast twitch muscles are inefficient but can produce huge bursts of strength for a short time. I imagine the werewolves mostly have fast twitch muscle fibers to generate their strength. Perhaps they achieve this through modified alpha-actin 3, a gene found in fast twitch muscle fibers responsible for giving them strength. They probably also have high levels of insulin-like growth factor 1 in their muscles, a hormone that contributes to muscle growth. Factors like these are probably how they achieve such strong musculature. Conclusion: werewolves may only exist in myth, but the idea of a virus hijacking human biology to produce something monstrous is disturbingly plausible. Nature is filled with parasites and pathogens that alter their hosts with terrifying precision. Rabies already transforms its victims into aggressive biting vectors. Retroviruses can permanently rewrite DNA, and evolution, over enough time and under the right pressures, can produce creatures that blur the lines between man and beast. Perhaps the real lesson of lycanthropy isn't about some monster in the woods, but a monster that lurks within us, in our genetic code, triggered by disease or imagined into being. In the end, werewolves may not be real, but the science behind them might be closer than we think. Computer, end file. What did you think of our analysis? Are there any powers, characters, or factions that you would like us to examine? Let us know in the comments below. And to remain updated on the capabilities of your allies and foes, like and subscribe to the Grand Evolutionary.